Chapter 7, Segment 3 out of 4. Choices everywhere. There are always alternative choices, but we pick the one that has the best consequences. There is something called the quantitative law of effect that describes the rate of behavior to one alternative in any given operant situation. The equation sums down to B1 equals K times R1 divided by the sum of R plus R0. This also describes how behavior rate varies as a function of reward rate. Catania and Reynolds' study with training birds in a series of 4 schedules shows that they were more distracted by the high rate of alternative reinforcement, and they were idiosyncratically deriving from the environment. This theory also predicts that you can reduce an undesirable behavior, which is B1, by increasing the alternatives around the person, which is R0. This can be used with drug use. Impulsiveness and self-control. Delaying gratification and choosing the delayed but larger reward is self-control, and choosing the immediate but smaller reward is impulsiveness. Humans and animals are mostly impulsive. The behavior is more present if the smaller reward is received faster. Green and colleagues did a study with pigeons that showed that if the time for the small reward was short, they would choose that, but if both rewards were delayed, they showed more self-control and decided to choose the larger reward. Ainsley and Racken's idea that choice is determined by the value of 2 rewards is determined by the reward's size and delay, as in how quickly the reward is given. It is shown that larger reinforcers have higher value than small reinforcers, but more immediate reinforcers have more value. Pre-commitment is an arrangement to make the choice long before the rewards are due to risk temptation of the immediate reward, and therefore impulsiveness is prevented. Michelle and colleagues came up with an idea called hot thoughts and cold thoughts. Hot thoughts defeat self-control, and cold thoughts distract a person and increase self-control. Heroin abusers are shown to be impulsive and value immediate satisfaction over the better delayed reward, and this is the same with smokers. Behavior economics. Are reinforcers all alike? Substitutability is a continuum that describes various ways in which reinforcers can actually interact with one another. Behavior economics is that behavior is recognized using economic principles. Reinforcers are commodities that organisms consume, and as the commodity goes up in price, we consume less of it, therefore demand increases. The demand curve is showing demand for commodity as a function of its price. A commodity can be elastic or inelastic. If it is elastic, consumption is very dependent on its price, and this goes for items that are luxuries. If a commodity is inelastic, consumption does not depend on its price. This goes for necessities such as food. Increasing the price of one reward with the consumption of another produces 3 possibilities. The first is a substitute. The subjects exchange one possibility equally for the other. An independent situation is when one commodity goes up in price, therefore the demand decreases and the other commodity does not change. And if they are complements, they follow the same pattern as when a commodity goes up in price and the demand decreases, and therefore the other commodity decreases in demand as well. Some real-world examples of this, of substitution, is ethanol is a substitute for PCP. So when ethanol goes up in price, PCP is more in demand. An example of complements is when alcohol goes up in price and its consumption decreases, cigarette consumption also decreases. Theories of reinforcement. Skinner's definition of a reinforcer isn't a theory, and that's equally true of matching law. Skinnerian definitions of reinforcers are called circular, and you can break circularity by the idea that reinforcers that work in one situation will also work in another one. Drive reduction. Thorndike thought satisfaction stamped in SR connections, and this is because satisfactory reinforcers work because they strengthen the connection. Hull thought like Thorndike and thought that behavior was organized in a way that always helps the animal satisfy its needs. Drive is the need for necessities and motivates behavior, and reinforcement occurs when consequences reduce the drive. But contrary data was found and disproved Hull. Scheifele showed commodities that didn't reduce the need could still be reinforced. For example, the body does not need saccharin, but it is a reinforcer. But Miller backed Hull's ideas by saying that even though there wasn't a biological need, there was still a drive for it, but this is not entirely accurate.